Welcome back, everyone. Today we're making boot gaiters for brush, bugs, and ticks. This is a one-size-fits-all pattern with adjusters on the front, back, and side. It's also a super easy sewing project, so if you are new to sewing, you should have no problem following the easy step-by-step tutorial. With all that being said, don't forget to grab the printable pattern and let's get started. Getting started with supplies, you'll need 1 yard for your main fabric, and I recommend using a nylon, a denim, a canvas, or even a twill. All these fabrics are durable, they have some flex, and they're easy to work with. I'm actually going to be using a mixture of nylon and denim. I'm using nylon for the bottom part and denim for the top. I like the contrast of the two different fabrics, and I also thought the denim would give a little bit more flex and make it easier to walk around. But like I always, get creative, test different fabrics, and find something that's going to work for you. You'll need a 1/4 yard of 1 inch width Velcro. This is going to be used for the closure up front. You can go a little bit bigger than 1 inch, but you don't want to go smaller because we're actually going to be utilizing the Velcro to cover up one of the seams, so that's why you want it a little bit wider. You'll need a 1/4 yard of 1 inch width webbing. This is going to be used to create a loop for the cord and also a tab up front. You'll need 2 yards of cord or drawstring and also 2 cord stoppers. You can use any style of cord or drawstring. I'm actually going to be using a paracord. It's super durable and you can also find it in a ton of colors, so you should be able to find something that goes with your fabric. You'll need 4 eyelets. These are going to be used for the cord to feed through. I'm using 8mm. I found this was a great size to use with my paracord. Now you can go smaller, but you don't want to go too small because you need to fit 2 strips of paracord or cord into the eyelet. So anywhere from 6 to 8mm works great. You'll need 2 boot hooks, and we're going to be installing these up front to clip to the shoelace. This will help keep the front closed off and prevent it from moving around. Now these are optional. If you can't find them, it's not a big deal. It's still going to turn out fine. And lastly, you'll need the pattern. It's available at properfitclothing.com. It's super easy to use. All you have to do is download it, print it off, tape it together, and you're ready to go. Real quick, before you tape it together, the best thing to do is cut off the top and one of the side edges. This is going to allow you to overlap the pages for a perfectly aligned pattern. And after you have all your supplies gathered and your pattern printed off, it's time to move into cutting. And after printing out your pattern, it should look like this. Be sure to check your printer alignment for the best possible results. This will ensure your pages line up correctly, and from here we're going to cut on the outside of the black line. And once you cut out all the fabric, you want to end up with 2 bottom cover panels, both cut out of your main fabric, 2 bottom panels, both cut out of your main fabric, 4 side panels, all cut out of your main fabric, and lastly 2 top panels, both cut out of your main fabric. In moving on to construction, the first thing we're going to do is grab both of the top panels and place our eyelets. So using the pattern, locate the eyelet placement guide. The quickest and most accurate way to do this is to line up the pattern with the panels, fold the pattern back, mark the eyelet placement guide on one of the panels, place the pattern off to the side, and grab your eyelets. I'll be using 8mm eyelets for this project, but feel free to switch it up. Punch out the opening based on the size eyelets you're using, and we're going through both of the panels. Separate the 2 panels, place the eyelet through the opening from the right side, add the backing on the back, and to secure it down, I'll be using a hammer die. It came with my eyelet kit, but feel free to use pliers or a press. If you are using the hammer die, place the base on the right side and hammer it down from the back. Remember, you don't need a lot of force or else you're going to bend the eyelet. Then repeat this process for the opposite panel. Once you have an eyelet in both of the panels, grab the pattern along with the bottom panel. In this step, we're going to be attaching the bottom panel, so separate the panels with right sides facing up. Using the pattern, locate the attached bottom panel edge on the top panel, along with the attached top panel edge on the bottom panel. These are the edges we'll be connecting so we can place the patterns off to the side. Place the right sides together, and typically I'd recommend pinning the entire edge down, but since this is a super harsh curve, it's best to sew it and move it as you go. But I do like to mark the centers as a reference point so I can make sure I have it lined up correctly as I'm sewing. Stitch out a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm also using a serger to get a nice clean edge on the inside. Now if it was sewn correctly, then both of these edges should line up perfectly. But unfortunately, this isn't always the case when working with curved edges like this. One of the layers might stretch a little bit more since it's on such a harsh curve, getting pulled through the machine more, causing an offset. And don't worry, this isn't a big deal. If it's offset a little bit, you can always trim up the bottom edge so it's flush. You mainly want to make sure you're precise with the 1/4 inch seam allowance so the bottom cover panel fits precisely in future steps. But anyways, moving on to the next step, we're going to be adding a top stitch to that new seam. And the best way to do this is to push that seam allowance up so it's laying on the top panel. Then we're going to place our top stitch on the top panel side directly on the seam allowance. For the best results, I recommend matching your thread color to your fabric color to hide any small imperfections within the top stitch. But as you can see, this really separates the 2 layers and makes for a nice professional finish. It's also going to provide a second layer of strength. Moving right along, grab the pattern one more time and locate the fold guide. And what we're going to do is fold the top edge along that fold guide. Next, we're going to locate the 1/4 inch seam allowance along the top edge and fold that under as well. This will give you a nice clean edge, and from here you can either pin it down or press it depending on what type of fabric you're using. Luckily, I'm using a denim for the top section so I can easily press it. Then we're going to repeat this step for the second assembly. Fold the edge twice and press it down. Now before you sew it, it's very important you double check to make sure you did fold it exactly at the fold guide. This is where we're going to be attaching the side panel in future steps, and if it's not folded correctly, the side panel won't line up. So after double checking, we're going to take it to the sewing machine and add a top stitch directly on top of the 1/4 inch seam allowance at the bottom of the fold. And if everything was done correctly, you're going to be going directly under the eyelet. Again, if you want the most professional results, I do recommend matching your thread color to your fabric color. And take a look at both sides, make sure all the layers are stitched down because this is going to become a loop for our cord. Next, grab the bottom cover panel along with the top and bottom pattern. Using the pattern, locate the top edge and also the placement guides on the top and bottom panel for the top edge placement. Separate the two layers with right sides facing up, and if everything was sewn correctly in previous steps, then the bottom cover panel should be the same exact width as the assembly. Place the right side together, lining up the bottom edge, and then stitch that bottom edge at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Again, you want to be very precise with the 1/4 inch seam allowance or else the side panels are not going to line up correctly in future steps. Now we can grab that bottom cover panel and flip the wrong sides together so it's behind the main assembly. And the goal in this step is to get both of those layers perfectly lined up along that bottom edge. Once you have the layers lined up, place a few pins so they don't shift around and add a top stitch along the bottom edge. And I'll be placing my top stitch about a 1/4 inch away from the bottom. This step can be kind of tricky if you're using a nylon fabric because it wants to shift around constantly, but if you're using a denim, it's a little bit easier. Now we can flip the assemblies over to the wrong side, grab the pattern, and locate the top edge. Roll the top edge over a 1/4 inch and press it down. If you're using a nylon, it can be fairly tricky to press, so feel free to pin it down instead. Then repeat this step for the opposite assembly. Once you have both sides pinned or pressed down, take it to your sewing machine and add a top stitch directly in the center of the fold. And I like to sew this edge from the wrong side so you can see it, so you may need to change the thread color in your bobbin so it matches the right side of your fabric. Flip the assembly back over to the right side and grab the pattern for the bottom panel. Locate the webbing and eyelet placement guides, line the bottom panel up in the center of the assembly, and mark the placement guides on both sides. Repeat this step for both of the assemblies. We're going to start by placing the eyelet, and you want to place the eyelet on opposite sides for each assembly. For my assembly on the left, I'm placing the eyelet on the left, and my assembly on the right, I'm placing the eyelet on the right. Then we're going to install the eyelets the same way we did in the previous steps. You're going to punch your opening, feed the eyelet through the opening from the right side, add your backing, and hammer it down. I'm also using the same size eyelet. It's an 8mm eyelet. And just to show you, I'm going through both the bottom and bottom cover panel fabric. Now that we have both the eyelets installed, we can add the webbing. So cut two 5-inch strips of 1-inch width webbing, and place the webbing on the placement guide opposite of the eyelet. You want the webbing to be going out on the angle, and we're going to place it on the back side of the assembly. Roll the webbing ends inward so you have a nice clean loop, and place it on the back side of the assembly. And I like to pin the loop down separately so it doesn't move around. Make sure the loop is hanging past the bottom edge of the assembly about 1 inch, and you have enough on the back side to tack stitch down. Once you have both webbing strips into position, take it to your sewing machine and tack stitch them down. And I'll be placing a stitch along the top of the loop and also right along the bottom edge of the loop. If you folded the webbing long enough, you can actually hide this tack stitch in the top stitch of the bottom cover panel. If you didn't have enough webbing to work with, you can always cut that strip longer. You mainly just want to make sure you have 1 inch hanging off the bottom edge so you can feed the cord through in later steps. But anyways, moving on, this next step we're going to be adding cord to the top edge, so grab your cord and also 2 cord stoppers. To start, we're going to cut 2 20-inch strips of cord. This is a little bit long, but we'll be snipping it in later steps. Locate the midpoint of the cord, fold it in half, and push it through the cord stopper. If you're using a double opening cord stopper, then you can just feed it through to the midpoint. Pull enough cord out so you can tie a knot. This will prevent the cord stopper from sliding off. And all we have to do next is feed the cord ends into the eyelet and pull them out to the edges. The left cord end should go to the left edge, and the right cord end should go to the right edge. And you'll want at least a couple inches hanging past the edges. Then go ahead and repeat this step for the second assembly. To prevent the cord from pulling out, you can either add a small tack stitch along the edge or pin it down. And now when you pull that cord stopper, it's going to tighten the top edge. But anyways, moving on to the next step, grab the side panel. You should have 4 cut out of your main fabric, and also grab your top panel pattern. Using the pattern, locate the side panel attachment guide, and this is going to be the edge we attach to the side panels. Place the top panel pattern off to the side, and now we can place the side panel. So locate the side that has the webbing at the bottom, place the right side of the side panel to the right side of the main fabric, and this is only for the edge that is closest to the webbing at the bottom. Now for the edge closest to the eyelet, we're going to place the right side of the side panel to the wrong side of the top panel. And the reason we're doing it this way is because we want the Velcro to overlap, so we need these on opposite sides. If everything was sewn correctly in previous steps, you should have a 1/4 inch hanging off the top edge and a 1/4 inch hanging off the bottom edge for the side panel. Fold the 1/4 inch back on the top and bottom edge and pin it down. Now if your side panel is a little bit longer, that's totally fine. Just make sure the top and bottom edges line up with the main assembly after folding. Then go ahead and repeat this step for the other 3 side panels. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch each edge at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just like the other steps, you want to be very precise with the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And after sewing, the top and bottom edge of the side panel should line up perfectly with the assembly. If everything is looking good, you can trim the cord ends flush with the sides. And cut 2 strips of Velcro that are the same height as the side edges. Again, I'm using 1 inch width Velcro. Feel free to use 1 inch or a little bit bigger. In this step, we're actually going to be utilizing the Velcro to cover up the raw edges on the sides. Separate the Velcro, and I like to place the fuzzy side on the side closest to the webbing. Starting on the eyelet side, pull the side panel out and place the Velcro directly on the seam. And you want your Velcro to be the same height as the side panel. If it's a little bit taller, you can always snip it after sewing. And underneath the Velcro, you want the seam allowance to be pointing towards the outside edge. And the Velcro is going to go directly on top. And you should have enough material on the outside edge of the side panel so you can fold it under the Velcro in later steps. Flip the assembly over to the wrong side, and from this side you can get a better look. The Velcro is covering up the seam, so when we add the top stitch to the side panel seam, it's going to stitch through the Velcro and cover up the raw edge. Then we're going to repeat this step for the other 3 side panels. Point the seam allowance towards the outside edge, add your Velcro, pull the side panel out to the side, and add your top stitch through all the layers. Once you're ready, take it to your sewing machine and add a top stitch on all 4 edges. And it's pretty tricky to sew through Velcro, so you may have to line it and sew it as you go. Another trick is matching the bobbin thread color to your Velcro color so you don't see it within the Velcro. Now if your Velcro is a little bit taller and going past the top and bottom edges, you can trim it flush with the top and bottom edge. Now we're going to take the remaining portion of the side panel that's sticking past the edge and roll it under the Velcro. And the rolled edge of the side panel doesn't have to line up perfectly with the Velcro. You mainly just want the raw edge of the side panel to be hidden under the Velcro. Once you have it tucked under the Velcro nice and neat, we're going to cut 2 4-inch strips of webbing. And these don't have to be exactly 4-inch strips, you can cut them larger or smaller. We'll be placing them in between the side panel and Velcro at the top edge to use as a tab. It makes it easier to remove the boot gaiter, so if you want this tab a little bit bigger or smaller, you can make adjustments to the webbing. But we rolled the webbing in half and placed it below the seam allowance along the top edge. And remember, we placed it in between the Velcro and the side panel. And we're also placing this tab on the edge that's closest to the webbing at the bottom. Once you have all the edges rolled under the Velcro and the 2 tabs into position, take it to your sewing machine and add a top stitch along the outside edge. We're also sewing the small little segment on the top and the bottom edge. So once it's complete, you should have stitching going all the way around the outside edge of the side panel. And again, this tab isn't mandatory, so if you don't think you'll use it, you don't need to add it. Now moving it into the next step, we're going to be adding the boot hook at the bottom of the Velcro. To do this, we're going to cut 2 5-inch strips of 1-inch width webbing, roll the webbing ends inward just like we did with the loop at the bottom, make sure the webbing ends are hidden, and place it at the bottom of the Velcro strip. And this will be placed on the same edge as the webbing tab that we just installed. Make sure you have at least 1 to 1.5 inches hanging past the bottom edge of the Velcro and pin it down. Add the second webbing tab to the opposite assembly, take it to your sewing machine, and tack stitch both webbing strips down. As you can see, we place this webbing tab on the right side of the fabric. You can also place it on the back if you would like. You just mainly want to make sure you have at least 1 to 1.5 inches hanging past the bottom edge of the Velcro, because this is going to give us enough room to install our boot hooks. And these come in all different styles. I'm just using a standard single opening boot hook. As long as it can clip to your laces, you should be good to go. And we're going to place this boot hook on the underside of the tab at the bottom of the Velcro. Once you found the placement, punch your opening for the rivet, feed the rivet through the opening, and add the rivet cap on the opposite side. To secure it down, I'll be using a hammer die. Feel free to use a press or pliers. Place the base on the cap side and hammer it down from the front. Just like with the eyelets, you don't need a ton of force or else you're going to bend the hook. Now you can repeat the step for the opposite assembly. After installing both boot hooks, we can move right into the next step. And that's going to be adding the bottom adjuster cord that wraps around your shoe. So cut 2 38-inch strips of cord. And if that turns out being too long at the end, remember you can always trim it down. But what we're going to do is fold the cord in half and feed it through the eyelet from the back side. Add the cord stopper on as it comes out the eyelet and tie a knot. Feed the 2 remaining cord ends through the loop at the bottom from the outside to the inside. Lastly, tie a knot so it doesn't pull back through the webbing loop. If you're using smaller cord and it does pull back through the webbing loop, it's a very easy fix. All you have to do is separate the assembly from the webbing at the bottom and add a stitch closer to the webbing. This will ultimately narrow that loop so your cord doesn't get pulled back out, because the last thing you want is for that cord to fly out when you're wearing it on the trail. So you're going to want to make it as tight as possible. Now you can add the same cord boot setup to the second assembly and move into the final step. And that's adding your branding and making adjustments. For the branding, I use leather strips added with double-sided rivets. If you go this route, you can also use a leather to wrap the tabs at the top. Or you can use screen printing, embroidery, or even woven tags. And you can easily make adjustments to this pattern, especially in the bottom boot adjustment area. I went simple and added a cord with cord stoppers, but you can swap this out for a belt and buckles. Pretty much any longer closure will work there. You just have to line it up in the same area we lined the eyelets and webbing up in. The second adjustment is for the overall height. If you want this taller, all you have to do is extend that top edge of the top panel. Keep in mind, if you do extend this top edge, then you're also going to have to make the same extensions on the side panel. The second adjustment is to the overall width width, you can make it wider, but again, if you do make the top panel wider, then you're going to do the same thing for the bottom panel and the bottom cover panel. And for the width, you add to the middle, and for the height, you add to the top. But this is the reason we added multiple adjustments, so one size can fit all. And you can actually add a little bit more versatility if you use a wider strip of Velcro. That wider strip is going to allow you to open up more for a bigger fit. And the last thing I want to go over is the fabric. I use the denim and the nylon mix. I found this was a great way to go, but if you want to make it more waterproof, I would stick to a nylon. But other than that, I hope you learned a few new sewing techniques and had fun making the boot gaiters. And there you have it, your boot gaiters are complete and you're ready for the trail. Hopefully yours turned out as good as mine did. Using the denim up top and the nylon down below really gave it a lot of flex and overall made for a nice finished boot gaiter. So that's why I always recommend testing different fabrics, because you might stumble upon something good. Like always, I'd love to see what you come up with, so tag me on Instagram at ProperFitClothing, and until then, I'm going to keep the videos coming at you, so I'll see you next time.